Hey everyone, it's the Kung Fu Genius, aka Alex Richter, here with a special video for you guys. The infamous, world famous Tom Bleecker responded to my recent series of videos about unsettled matters, and it's exactly what you'd expect. Let's get to it.
And every day I practice martial arts.
Watch out!
So as most of you know, I've recently done a 3-part series going through unsettled matters through the entire book, section by section, giving my take on it. And Tom was kind of radio silent for a bit, but he sent me an email, and the email is hysterical. I'm going to read it for you guys, and then we'll discuss it and go from there. Okay, here we go. Tom Bleecker, and this was on Monday, November 4th. I see you've still got your foot on the gas, publicly trashing unsettled matters and demeaning my character. A lot of people don't like you and your childish attitude and have encouraged me to put out a video responding to your onslaught of mean-spirited allegations. I'm going to get around to it. At the present, I am under a writing contract that contains some challenging deadlines. But I'll get to it. You're a low priority. So you and that effeminate sidekick of yours who giggles like a 12-year-old girl, stay tuned. As an aside, you and I both know the real reason you went from continuously asking me to be on your podcast, concluding with, if you ever change your mind about being on my podcast, I think we could do something big, to your weeks on end personal attack of me and my work. The main reason I respectfully declined to be on your podcast is because of the Jerry Springer type episodes you've done about unsettled matters, although I realize being controversial and stirring up BS is what pays your rent and puts food on the table. Okay. Lastly, I can assure you that I was a close friend of Bruce's, clear evidence of this forthcoming, and he wouldn't have spent 10 minutes in your company. He adamantly couldn't tolerate people like you. And that's the whole email. He didn't even bother to sign it. All right, let's break that down. All right, so the first part, he says, I see you've still got your foot on the gas, publicly trashing unsettled matters and demeaning my character. Well, what can I say about that? Unsettled matters, besides people commenting online or in forums back in the day, and by the way, Tom, lots of those people have contacted me too about your old postings and stuff, so more on that, I suppose. You basically wrote a book about Bruce Lee, trashing him in many, many ways. Someone that was supposedly your friend and someone that you, I suppose, had some kind of respect for because of who he is. And the stuff you wrote in your book, well, would you not consider that publicly trashing? Or is it okay if you do it to someone else, but when someone calls you on what you say, whoa, yo, take it easy, all right? What would Bruce Lee have said had he had the chance to read your book? Second point I want to make on this is in the very first video of the 3-part series I did on unsettled matters, I said that I was going to kind of make fun of you because what happened in your book again and again were these tropes of your investigative style where you would level an accusation, then you would give some kind of unrelated history about that thing, like saying Bruce Lee was potentially a triad and then giving irrelevant triad history and then leaving it at that so you could call back to it later. And no one has ever publicly pushed back on that in a video. The time when people pushed back was way back in the day where you didn't have things like YouTube to really go out there and say it. So, Tom, you've had this coming for a little bit. I said in the first video I would probably make fun of you a little bit because of your style of argumentation and what is pretty clear to everyone who reads it, that you are salty against Bruce Lee and you have some perhaps other motivations about writing this other than getting the truth out there. So I also said in that first video, if you want to make a video making fun of me, go ahead. Totally fine. We are not all totally upset when people say shit about us. So go ahead, Tom, make fun of me. But as we all know, that's usually your tactic to get away from talking about the substantive arguments about the problems with your book. So make it all about me and ignore the things I said in the videos so you can pretend like you scored a point. And at the end of the day, no one sees your evidence. You still haven't shown any of it. That's on the first point. On your second line, a lot of people don't like you and your childish attitude and have encouraged me to put out a video responding to your onslaught of mean-spirited allegations. Tom, go ahead and put the video out. No one is stopping you. I don't know what your mindset is, but telling me that a lot of people that agree with you don't like me, and is that supposed to bother me? I don't know. A lot of people that like me think you're kind of a dork. Does that bother you? I don't know. This is a little, I don't know, self-reflective. The fact that you think that being accepted by everyone is something that everyone else must share. Tom, I'm okay with your buddies who think you're the greatest thing since sliced bread. I'm okay if they don't like me. You, however, seem to think that we need to be liked by everyone else, all right? So mean-spirited allegations, I said I would make fun of you, and that's what I did. You can make fun of me, go ahead. But let's talk about those allegations. Let's not make it about the feelings, all right? I don't take you for a snowflake unless you are a snowflake, Tom. Let's talk about what you said in the book. And you can still make fun of me, that's fine. But let's have a conversation about the evidence, Tom. Let's not make it about your friends don't like me. Okay? Where's the steroid evidence? Where's the evidence you were his best friends? All right? Or are we just going to talk about how your friends don't like me? All right? Choice is yours, Tom. And then you go on. At present, I'm under a writing contract that contains some challenging deadlines. Tom, I think almost every comment you've ever written on the KFG podcast is always like, I'm too busy to comment on this stuff because I'm a busy writer. By the way, did you know I'm a writer? Oh, I'm a writer with a lot of busy deadlines. Okay, Tom, but this kind of constant thing that you do by saying like how important you are, that you don't really have time to do stuff, this is not the first time you've done it. And there's a pattern here, just like your weird investigative style. And this is what people think is kind of ridiculous because at your age, at your level, hopefully, of maturity, why are you always kind of trying to prove that you're an important guy, you know? I just want you to know, I'm kind of a big deal. Every Tom comment ever. You're a low priority. Okay, fine. You still have said nothing about what I talked about in the video. You're just making it about this you versus me kind of thing, right? I think you're kind of, on this topic, full of shit. And you might not like how I said it, but let's talk about the things you said in there because this is getting us off topic. And like I said, go ahead and make fun of me. It just shows that you want to ignore actually talking about any evidence. So the more you make this about you and me, the more you're getting away from what everyone wants to hear, which is where is your evidence? So you and that effeminate sidekick of yours who giggles like a 12-year-old girl, Tom. Dude, how old are you? You're really trying to make fun of me or hurt my feelings and say that Dre is effeminate or whatever. Like, I don't know. Man, if you think he's effeminate and he's kind of your thing, I could put in a good word, but I don't know, he's not really into boomers. And Tom, this isn't the 1960s anymore. You know, calling someone, you know, a Nancy Pants or something like that is not the mic drop it probably was when you were Dre's age, but, you know, okay, my effeminate sidekick, who, by the way, really didn't contribute to any of the factual discussion. So again, here's you just kind of moving it and making it about this kind of stuff, all right? You say the main reason you respectfully declined to be on my podcast is because of the Jerry Springer type episodes. Wow, that's an up-to-date reference you got there. But no, this is in fact verifiably false. And this is what you do in your book. You take something and then you wedge it somewhere where it doesn't belong, and then you just print it, and therefore everyone needs to accept it, all right? The episodes we did on Unsettled Matters are 3 episodes, and they came out in the most recent episodes, about the last 5 episodes. We released the first one, we had a couple other episodes, and then we released the other 2. When you denied being on my podcast, Tom, that was 3 years ago. Okay, there were no Unsettled Matters episodes at that point. In fact, you rarely, if ever, got mentioned on my podcast. So either you are lying here or you're being intentionally deceptive, which is kind of the same as lying. You didn't deny me because of my Unsettled Matters episodes because they didn't exist. Tom, that was 3 years ago. The Facebook message where I first asked you to be on my podcast was in October of 2021. And in a subsequent email exchange, that's when you gave me the blah, blah, blah about you bringing me to Joe Rogan podcast levels, okay? So here's exactly what you did in your book. Take random facts, that are unrelated, but you can use them to support your thesis. So you just wedge it in there without citing it and just saying, oh, this is fact, okay? So if I was seething because you wouldn't be on my podcast, then I waited 3 years to do this. Now, if you want to believe that, if that makes you feel better because you're personally attacked, fine. But again, none of this has to do with the stuff I said, and none of this has to do with you defending it. So you're making it personal in the same way. By the way, plenty of people have come to me who've interacted with you in the past and have shown me all sorts of emails, private interactions, and things like that. And you are incredibly thin-skinned when someone challenges you on your evidence. So you then always move the cheese to make it personal, okay? I admitted I'd make fun of you in the first episode, which is what I did. I told you you can make fun of me, which is totally fine. But at some point, Tom, you need to discuss the facts, all right? Tell everyone that I did the video because I'm mad that you didn't do my podcast. Fine. In fact, here's what I'll do for you, Tom. I'll grant you that, okay? The only reason why I did this 3-part series is because I was seething that the notorious Tom Bleecker would not do my podcast. Okay, I'll give you that, okay? Now the dust is settled. You still need to answer for the allegations and baseless shit you put in that book. So can we do that now? Or are we going to keep making it like about this stuff? That has nothing to do with the shit you said about Bruce Lee in your book. Let's make it about the stuff you said about Bruce Lee in your book, and I think the audience will be happy. In the meantime, you can make fun of me. That's fine, all right? But let's get to it, Tom. Come on, Tom. Let's do it. I know you can do it. I know you have that evidence in there somewhere, in a box somewhere. You got it. Okay, and then you go on. Although I realize being controversial and stirring up BS is what pays your rent and puts food on the table. Again, as I made fun of in the first and second episode, you're not really the detective you think you are. Tom, I have like 12K subscribers. No one is earning a living when you have 12K subscribers, okay? I'm a martial arts instructor. That's what I do for a living. I teach martial arts. My podcast, which discusses mainly Bruce Lee and Wing Chun and Jeet Kune Do topics, I do that on the side for fun, okay? If you think this is putting rent on the table, then you should look at the views of some of those videos we did on you. People are not even that interested compared to other topics. By the way, the reason why we did this topic is because a few months back, we did a long form series on Bruce's final months, and a lot of people put little weird Bleeckerisms in there, you know, a lot of your kind of allegations that are unsubstantiated, but there's a certain segment of the audience that just, because it's in a book that you wrote, think it's true. And that's when I said, hey, you know what? People still think a lot of this stuff is true, and maybe some of it is, but here's the thing, Tom. If you're right about anything, I'll be the first to admit it, all right? All I need to see is, where is the evidence? Not you looking at a physician's desk reference and looking at a list of symptoms and then saying, well, that looks like this, so therefore Bruce was taking diuretics, therefore Bruce was taking all these cortisone shots, therefore Bruce was on anabolic steroids. Anyone can do that. You can grab a desk reference, thumb to a random page, look at a bunch of symptoms, and most people probably have something on there, all right? So I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the actual evidence, because you assert everything so forcefully in your book, so matter-of-factly. So for those of us who love Bruce Lee, but we're willing to accept him warts and all, this isn't about you bashing Bruce Lee. I'm the guy who did the drug letters video after all. This is just about, well, if these things you say are true, Tom, I'll admit it if they're true, but where are your receipts? Show us, all right? The fact that you were married to Linda for less than 2 years doesn't make you an expert in Bruce's endocrine system, doesn't make you an expert in what Bruce did as a child or things that happened to him at that time, which Linda wasn't even present for that. So this idea of you being married to Linda for a couple of years, somehow bestowing you with omnipotent knowledge about all things Bruce Lee, especially when the evidence about you being his close friend are very scanty, that just doesn't work, okay? I cannot claim because I was close friends with someone for a year or that I was married to someone that somehow now I know everything about someone from that person's family. This is not how the real world works, Tom. It's called hearsay, and it wouldn't hold up in court. We need receipts. So the idea that I'm doing this to put food on my table, that would be very little food, bubble gum and maybe some candies. Lastly, you can assure me that you were a close friend of Bruce's. Clear evidence is forthcoming. Tom, people have been asking for this evidence since before I was even really doing Wing Chun. Your book came out in 96. Why are you now bringing out evidence? Now, okay? Where was this evidence 30 years ago? Where was this evidence 20 years ago? Is my video series the reason why you're finally going to bring it out? Like that one photo of you at the JKD school off to the side is proving what? The fact that you lived in the same apartment complex for a short time is proof that you were his friend? Receipts, Tom. You're not in any of his daytimers that we can see. If you are, show them to me. I'll admit it right away. Are there any letters to you from Bruce? Bruce was a prolific letter writer. He wrote letters to all sorts of people. Are there any letters from you to Bruce? Not that that would necessarily prove anything. Photos, not really forthcoming. How many records do you have at the JKD school that you came in? They took logs every time. We're waiting, Tom. We're waiting for receipts. So, Tom, the ball is in your court. You can make it about me being grumpy that you're not on my podcast. You can make it about me being a poopy pants. You can call me Alex Rectum or whatever, your high level of writing skill brain has come up with. Or you can finally address the shit you wrote about in your book. So here is my challenge to you, Tom. I just want to see a couple things of actual hard evidence. And if you don't have evidence, you got to let it go, Tom. All right? So first off, I want to see this evidence that you were really his buddy for 6 years. Not that you knew him or that you had met him, but as you say that you were his friend for a period of 6 years. That's the first challenge. I want to see that evidence. And a photo of you off to the side is not evidence of that, all right? Second, I want evidence that Bruce was taking the cortisone beyond the time that he was with Dr. Tanny. I mean, into the time in Hong Kong, not he took it a couple times on the set of Big Boss. I mean, like towards the end. Third, I want to see the evidence of the diuretics because we all know why Bruce was probably losing weight, but you married yourself to that cause, so let's see the evidence of the diuretics. Finally, we want the evidence of the steroids, the anabolics, okay? I was corrected by my readers. By the way, Tom, when I get new information, I adjust course. Do you ever do that? And there was an anabolic called Winstrol, which does not give a lot of water bloat. So now, where is your evidence that Bruce was on something like Winstrol at that time? Okay, and not they were legal at that time. Well, he could have, because Bruce could have done all sorts of things. He could have liked to chew gum and secretly throw it into old ladies' purses, all right? He could have been into all sorts of stuff. Coulda doesn't mean it happened. Evidence is what we need. And those are my challenges for you, Tom. And if you want to make it about making fun of me, go ahead. But that just means you're not answering the challenge. And that's it, guys. All right, I hope you enjoyed that short video. And I'll see you guys for an episode soon. Take care.